The cover up. Oh, look out. Look out. Okay, cover up, reveal, cover up, reveal. That's right. It is time for part 2 of the week 4 recap here on the Audible. Man alive, Bloom, we got some stinker games this afternoon.
We all needed the cool down period, after everything we witnessed in the early games, at the scoring, especially from the fantasy perspective. It's nice to relax, caught up on some dishes around the house, did a few chores, some things, because it's hard. Sundays, you let things go in the house on Sundays, but this late game, we're still seeing some teams assert themselves and some teams just showing that there's too much for them to overcome.
It's just too much. Too much to overcome the Giants defense, really? Well, I mean, they did. The Rams win 17-9 here in the afternoon, but okay, you certainly thought there'd be more here than this. Let's start with the Giants side first, though. Daniel Jones, 23-36, 190 yards, no touchdowns, 1 INT. Jones keeping some plays alive with his feet, 6 for 45 on the ground. Passing goes like this. Not a lot. Darius Slayton, 3 for 48. Devonta Freeman, 4 for 35. He's still all hair and ass. Evan Ingram, 6 for 35 in this one. Golden Tate, 4 for 20. So really just not a lot here. Wayne Gallman, leading rusher, 6 for 45, tying Daniel Jones in carries and in yardage. Devonta Freeman with the most carries, 11 and 33 yards. So they couldn't get much going. They tried to move the ball late in this one. I'm just more amazed at the Rams side, which we'll get to, but the Giants, it's kind of what you get.
Inept offense. Hi, Jason Garrett. But the defense did enough, Cease, that it still mattered at the end. And something that comes through every time you watch the Giants, Daniel Jones, he's playing with no fear. And he's not taking on any of the discouraging feelings playing for a team going nowhere. You don't see that in this game. You see him summoning up everything he has to do what he can for his team, even though he's outgunned. And no Saquon Barkley, Evan Ingram just working closer to the line of scrimmage. He had one nice pass downfield to Darius Slayton. They did have a chance at the end, but there was an interception by Darius Williams. Redemption after he had that pass interference call last week that opened up for the Rams to lose to the Bills in that comeback. That being said, Cease, the number one team in the division's 1-3. The Giants are going to play 3 divisional games in a row. They can beat teams in the division. If they can win those games, they'll be in first place in the division. So maybe Daniel Jones and his never say die attitude is because even though this team hasn't won yet, they aren't dead. Wayne Gallman, maybe a better runner than Devonta Freeman. Devonta Freeman adding a little bit as a receiver. If you played Devonta Freeman in a PPR league, you got 10, 11 points from him. You'll take it. But, there's no revelatory game by him. Ingram is going to be a disappointment. They kept it close, though. And against Dallas next week, they could be run out of the building by the Dallas offense, but they could have this offense look a lot better against the Dallas defense. This is how we make NFC East games sound watchable this year.
Okay, Rams side, and so many people are like, oh my God, look what happened. Look what happened. Jared Goff gets 200 yards passing, a touchdown, no picks. The touchdown to Cooper Kupp, 5 for 69, a touchdown, kind of scooting down that seam route girl and getting in that end zone. Robert Woods, 6 for 35, and just nothing from most anybody else in this passing game. Gerald Everett with a catch, right? Tyler Higbee with 3 catches, 21 yards. So just nothing here. Malcolm Brown with like an acrobatic, like spinning catch. 5 for 19, though, from him. 9 for 37 as a rusher. And Darrell Henderson, fantasy GM, is like, okay, this is what we get. 8 for 22. 1 for 16 as a receiver. So nothing from Henderson there. By the way, Gerald Everett did have a rushing touchdown there as well. So again, kind of interesting, these struggles, and the conspiracy theories abound in the chat room, Bloom, because our chatters are saying McVay did it on purpose.
Right. This is what we mean by running back by committee. It's supposed to be a meritocracy. Was a hand hotter than Darrell Henderson coming into this game? I think not. But it was still split down the middle. And Brown, just like he did in week 1, performed well enough for you to say, you're not wasting touches when you give them to him. You're not wasting targets when you target him, even though we don't think of him as a receiving back. Henderson and the burst not showing up as prominently. This was a Giants defense. The Steelers had Benny Snell get over 100 yards. Okay, the Bears only scored 17 points. The Bears. And then last week, the 49ers missing some key pieces on offense. Quarterback, tight end, running back, receiver, number one at all those positions was out. And they still move the ball easily against them. So you would have thought Sean McVay would be able to move the ball easily against this team. Not so much. Jared Goff, we were trying to see him as a matchup play like he was last year. This is a matchup he liked. Not much. Not much from Henderson and Brown as they split it down the middle. Brown actually the better play, but disappointing. And Cecil, I guess we're just going to have to put the Rams, like with the Bucks and some other teams, although maybe the Bucks are changing. We'll see. Or maybe the best answer is just stay away. Just don't think this is going to settle into some sort of pattern that will be good for fantasy football. After this week, now we're wondering what comes next. Cooper Kupp had a long catch and run touchdown that basically was the difference in the game. And if it wasn't for that, this just would have been offensive futility on both sides. But the Rams win. The Rams are 3-1. They play Washington next week. That's a very winnable game. So it's a marathon through a minefield. It's a war of attrition, Higbee didn't do anything, by the way. And you saw Everett get the touchdown on the carry. As we had that 1-3 touchdown week by Higbee against a couple of weeks ago against Philly. And that's just going to pull you back into dry. But maybe stop trying at some point. Giants haven't stopped trying. Rams haven't stopped trying. Washington hasn't stopped trying yet. Which offense are we going to see against Washington? As we may see Chase Young return next week. Still, sees any team 3-1 through 4 games. You're happy.
You're happy. You're going to take that, right, in the NFL in this season. So you're happy you got past the Raiders in the Death Star. That's the Bills, 30-23, the final score. The Bills get the win. Raiders did, again, another charge there late, but not enough. Josh Allen, a little bit banged up, Bloom. Let me know if there's anything there, because that was happening when we were doing part 1. But, Josh Allen, stays in the game and gets 288 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Also a rushing touchdown, although at -1 yard rushing. The touchdown passes go like this. Cole Beasley, 3 for 32 and a touch. And Gabriel Davis, once again, if you threw him in as a what the heck flex, there's your touchdown. 1 for 26 and a touch. Stephon Diggs, 6 for 115. Oh, smoky. 4 for 42 for John Brown. And it's just not clicking with Dawson Knox. Hell, it's not clicking with Tyler Kroft either. You saw a pass, and Kroft was touching his chest, my bad. It's no, that was Allen's bad. That wasn't the greatest accurate pass to Tyler Kroft. So the tight end's just doing nothing. Gabriel Davis is, Diggs is, a little dash of Brown, dash of Cole Beasley, and then more Devin Singletary today. 18 for 55 and 1 rushing touchdown. Also 5 for 21 as a receiver. So, okay, Bills, here you go. You're rolling, you're undefeated, and you beat up on Vegas.
See, you remember the last time the Bills were 4-0?
Probably the 90s?
Well, you would have thought. You would have thought. They were actually 4-0 in 2008. Remember who their quarterback was?
Ooh, 2008. Tell me.
Trent Edwards.
Ooh, wow.
Trent Edwards. Long way from Trent Edwards. That team ended up 7-9. This team is not going to go 7-9.
Yeah.
We love the Bills fan base. We love that it's been a long trip through the desert. And this is a great team for them to get to root for. It sucks that this is during a season that is somewhat precarious. Although, as some Bills fans pointed out to me when I said this on Twitter, Buffalo fans are used to precarity. It forms them. It forms their character. So, hey, they're happy. They should be happy. Josh Allen, in that Buffalo character, get a little banged up, non-throwing shoulder, came back in the game. Had a good fantasy game. Other than Dak Prescott, we really didn't see those massive blow-up games from the fantasy quarterbacks this week. But you still see expectations have been reset when there's a 25-point game, 30-point game. You say, okay, I'll take that. 25, 30-point game is usually the peak performance you want from your fantasy quarterback. And that's just okay, I'll take that. Singletary was held down as a runner, got a touchdown at the end, got the targets in PPR leagues to help you. So when you saw that Zach Moss was inactive, if you were waiting, and you went with Singletary. Hopefully you went with Singletary over Henderson. I really thought Henderson was going to have a good game. I was just hung up on that, Cease.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs. Okay. Maybe Justin Jefferson's doing some things to make it seem like Minnesota's happy with their end of the trade. Bills have to be happy with Diggs. Big play at the end of this game, elevating, and just he's like the point of the spear in that passing game. He gives them some swag. And how is it now for Stephon Diggs? Sometimes we get these things very wrong. And by we, I mean me. Stephon Diggs, how is he going to deal with Josh Allen and errant passes and going to spread the ball around and be a run-heavy offense? And Josh isn't going to make him a number one. He wants to be a number one. No, none of that. Actually, Stephon Diggs is invigorated to have a passer like Josh Allen. Josh Allen's going to throw him balls that Kirk Cousins wouldn't, right? This is better for Stephon Diggs. It's better for fantasy, even though we were downgrading him. It's better, I think, for his career arc. Now that we see this new offense and this new Josh Allen. John Brown had what should have been a touchdown, caught it just short of the goal line. Tremendous catch. Still, you're seeing, unless Josh Allen's throwing 3 or 4 touchdowns, it might be hard for all of these boats to stay afloat. Oh, you did get a Cole Beasley touchdown. Knox had a couple of targets inside the 10. So, a touchdown might be there. But again, with the Buffalo offense, they only scored 30. Only 30. The Buffalo offense coming in a little under expectations there. It's Gabriel Davis also got a touchdown here. So the abundance of options in the passing game helping Josh Allen outside of Stephon Diggs, not a solid play here, but that's fine. Will Buffalo play Tennessee next week? I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully you get those positive results cut off at some point. Avenge the Music City Miracle, Cease, right? Revenge tour, if they get it. But if you're a Buffalo fan, it took a little bit of luck, a call from the ref to get a win over the Rams. You still haven't really faced down like the bosses at the end of the video game level, Cease, right? Like a Cam Newton Patriots team. That's a boss at the end of the level. Buffalo still has to get some wins against teams that aren't the kinds of teams they face so far, but really couldn't be much happier than Bills fans should be right now.
They're beating them mostly the way they should, and that's a positive sign. Also, building confidence. Diego brings up someone that I love, and maybe part of me hates Allen Iverson Bloom. Do you know why?
No.
He says Diggs feels a little Allen Iverson-like. The only reason I would hate the answer, because I loved him at Georgetown, was because he made me buy a pair of Reeboks. And I am a Jordan guy through and through, but I had to get a pair of the answers. The answer ones weren't terrible. It's still Reeboks. So, all right. Never make fun of a potential sponsor. I can hear it screaming in my head right now. Whatever. Reebok's not jumping on board. Sorry, Reebok. Jordan might. A guy can dream, right? Let's talk about the dream of the Zay Jones revenge game. Okay. Didn't happen. Derek Carr falling short here, but 311 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. Nelson Aguilar with a my ball mentality. That's mine at the end. 4 for 44 and a touchdown, stomping his 2 feet on the ground. Jason Witten sighting, 2 for 18 and a touchdown there. Okay. Darren Waller, 9 times and 88 yards. Hunter Renfrow, 5 for 57. There's Zay Jones with 4 for 32. Of course, down both of their rookie receivers, Henry Ruggs and Brian Edwards here. Josh Jacobs, 15 carries, 48 yards. 3 for 25. So it's one of those low line games for Josh Jacobs, but you have Josh Jacobs. So that's cool. Let's talk about the Vegas Raiders. Not cool, sitting at 2-2.
And by the way, Cease, I totally forgot on that Giants-Rams game. There was a great NFL reality show angle to that game. Jalen Ramsey had 2 children with Golden Tate's sister, I want to say. And there's some bad blood there. And they fought at midfield at the end of the game. And it was a big, brawl scene. Anyway, no brawl scenes here. To get that in there. The Raiders. I mean, Derek Carr made some good throws, right? Derek Carr made a few throws in this game that you haven't seen him making with regularity. And Hunter Renfrow, of all people, going up and getting one. So you like seeing that. And Carr was actually better than you would expect against the Bills defense without Henry Ruggs, without Brian Edwards. For fantasy, it was actually acceptable. Some of it was coming back from a deficit. But with the Raiders, after that win against the Saints, and you thought maybe they're turning the corner, defense has problems, offense has problems, Josh Jacobs has problems. And not Josh Jacobs is deficient in any way, but Will the game scripts be there for him? When it's not Carolina, he's been like Joe Mixon first 3 weeks esque. But unlike Mixon, I don't think he has that speed. I don't think his offense has the arrows pointing up like the Bengals right now. Whereas, after week 1, you'd rather have Jacobs than Mixon. After week 2, week 3, now the scale's tipped. This is how it goes in fantasy football as we go through the season. Maybe it will change. Maybe not next week against Kansas City. Because we're not seeing Jacobs. You would think with the top 2 wide receivers out, maybe more of a role for Jacobs in the passing game. No. Of course, a big role for Darren Waller. Hunter Renfrow gets a few big plays, or at least one big play as the game goes on. You would think against the Bills, he'd give up big numbers from the slot. No. And by the way, Jason Witten gets the touchdown. Nelson Aguilar gets the touchdown. This is why Waller and Renfro's games weren't bigger, even though Derek Carr was playing well. This isn't a bad team. You don't watch the Raiders and you say they look like a bad team, right? They look like a team that the coach should be fired. The effort's not there, or the finer points aren't there. But they're getting outgunned. I think Josh Allen is a buzzsaw right now. I don't know that they're a bad team, but I know they're facing a really good team in Kansas City next week, assuming everything's okay. Say a little COVID prayer, light our prayer candle. We'll see. Last year, they couldn't even get in the same building as Kansas City. We'll see if they can do it this year.
Dave O'Dave reminds me of a horrible Snoop Dogg song, but dog gonna get you. Mm-hmm. Now tell me what I'm supposed to do. All right, Dave O'Dave. That's what Josh Jacobs was saying. It wasn't a bad song. It was one of those albums. It's like game is going to be told, not to be sold. It was his first album with No Limit. And I was all about that No Limit life, man. Make him say, right? Master P, down there where you're at, Bloom.
That's right.
Down in Nollins. Make him say, where's that Big Bang Tank? I'd rather talk about Master P's basketball career than talk about the Colts and the Bears, dude. 1911 and the Bears going to go back to Mr. Trubisky. It's like just awful. Every game in the NFL this season has featured 2 offensive touchdowns, usually a lot more, right? Usually a ton more. Scoring's way up. They say no fans help you keep that momentum. It kind of fits. I talked to Georges Niang from the Jazz a few times now this, basketball playoff season. And he said, no fans in the stands mean you can stay in the zone. I said that on the show. I guess it's true, unless we're talking about the Colts and the Bears. Every game has featured 2 or more offensive touchdowns, and this one almost didn't. 19-11. So, I guess we have to talk about Phillip Rivers. It's just so boring. Mm-hmm. Even the exciting players that they have, they're just not using them enough for the right way. Jonathan Taylor, 17 for 68. Okay, more. Nyheim Hines, 9 for 24. Okay, boring. T.Y. Hilton, 3 for 29. Not on the same page as Phillip Rivers. Zach Pascal, 3 for 58. All right. Mo Ali. Now I'm all paranoid. It's not Mo Ali Cox. Mo Ali Cox. Touchdown. Okay, cool. 1 catch, 13 yard. It's like, hey, at least Darius Fountain got a target. Right. That's more exciting to me than talking anything about this Colts game, dude.
See, I'd rather talk about Master P's career as an agent than talk about this game. Look it up, folks. Ricky Williams remembers. Hey, Ricky's a great guy. He's actually one of the genuine great guys in the NFL. Yep. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to say Ricky Williams, we've got to mention that. Chris Ballard, Frank Reich say just like we drew it up, right?
That's how we want it.
Win. Defense, running game, limit turnovers, slow in the driveway, no problem. It's not going to be great for fantasy football, but save for that stunning win by the Jags in week 1, Indy, they're winning the games they're supposed to win. And we'll see. Indy and Cleveland, real interesting matchup. See, so you look down week 5's games, that's one that really stands out as one that we'll learn about. 2 3-1 teams with similar blueprints, right? Play good defense. Indy's obviously ahead there. Run the ball well and limit turnovers. Keep your quarterback, right? Baker Mayfield at the beginning of his career, Phillip Rivers at the end of his career, same idea. Just keep them from losing the game for you. Let the other units decide who wins the game, the execution of other players. But T.Y. Hilton's not Odell Beckham. T.Y. Hilton might be coming to a shut him down segment soon at this rate. Because what are we waiting for? We're waiting for games where Indy's going to get into more high-scoring, opened-up game plans, which they don't want to do, and their defense is playing well enough that against really good offenses, they won't have to. Zach Pascal got the big downfield play in this one. Mo Ali Cox got the touchdown. I wish they would use him more. Their efficiency is incredible per target, but there's just not a lot of targets to go around. And Trey Burton gets 5 targets today. Okay. Jonathan Taylor, we were excited, right? So in that Derrick Henry kind of game plan where he wears down the defense and gets those big plays at the end of the game, they're not coming. We're not seeing Jonathan Taylor's speed at the end of the game. We're seeing some Jordan Wilkins and some Nyheim Hines as the game goes on. And look, it's better. I mean, Derrick Henry's a freak, right? So you give him 25 or 30 carries, he'll say more again. Jonathan Taylor's a rookie. He's not used to the wear and tear of an NFL season, so keeping him at 17 carries, there's nothing wrong with that. Not heavily favored in the passing game. Even running backs not so much heavily favored in the passing game. Hines got 3 receptions. But this is how it's going to be. An ideal win is going to have a small fantasy pie to divide up. Give an assist to Chicago's defense. Chicago's defense made things harder for them. Chicago's defense is no pushover. Jordan Wilkins, not highly productive in this game, but still running well enough that he's going to remain in this picture. So again, really fascinating game against Cleveland next week, Cease. Don't know if it's going to be a fantasy bonanza.
No bonanzas abound. What about that Nick Foles hype, though? By the way, do you think Anthony Lynn watches the Colts and he's like,
that's my team? Yeah.
Right. Like, oh, I wish we could do that. Hey, okay, let's talk about the Bears and Nick Foles hype, though. 249, 1 touchdown, 1 INT, and a loss. The first loss of the season. So there's that. Allen Robinson bailing him out late, 7 for 101 and a touch in this one. Darnell Mooney got that speed, 5 for 52. Jimmy Graham, 4 for 33. David Montgomery, 10 for 27 and 3 for 30 as a receiver. So I guess something. Just nothing here from this team. Not a win from Foles. So get the Trubisky, hype train fired back up again. I guess. I don't know. Either option is not really a good one for the Bears here.
Yeah. Look, the Bears were in a bad relationship with Trubisky. See, so it was closing time. Winning football just had a fight with the Falcons. And they said, we'll go home with you, Nick Foles. We've seen it before. That's not love, baby. That's not commitment. That's not a relationship. That's just a sugar high. Back to reality now. Because, Nick Foles, he can get back shoulder throws. There's going to be all this stuff in the playbook. It's Matt Nagy's design. Because we saw some games in Trubisky's first year with Nagy where they just ran over bad defenses. It's the way we see McVay or Shanahan do it with play design, with play calling, with execution. Nick Foles, now, again, Indy's defense is really tough. So we have to give an assist to Indy's defense here for making Nick Foles look bad. But really, this is kind of how Nick Foles has looked more often than not in his career. There's the Super Bowl. There's the 7-touchdown game. There's that season he had with Chip Kelly. There are the high points. I mean, Cecil, when we tell the story of Nick Foles' career, it won't be a boring story.
No, not at all.
Not just because of his nickname. Sorry, Joe. It's a very exciting and interesting story. But more often than not, when Nick Foles is your quarterback, it's not exciting. It's not interesting. You're treading water. Dave Montgomery got a 2-point conversion. Didn't get that much more involved in the passing game with Tariq Cohen out. Allen Robinson got a touchdown in garbage time. Jimmy Graham comes back to earth. Anthony Miller comes back to earth. Darnell Mooney, interesting developmental prospect for your dynasty leagues. Probably not a lot happening this year with him. Not a lot happening with it. It's weird. See, they're 3-1, and we're saying, yeah, this Bears team probably not going anywhere.
Right.
They're 3-1. They're facing another 3-1 team that does seem like they're going somewhere in Tampa Bay. The game's actually in Chicago. Another fascinating matchup. Again, maybe not the prettiest football on Thursday night, but two teams that, even though, started bad for the Tampa Bucks, didn't end up great for the Bears through 4 games. When you're 3-1 in this league, in the Marathon through the minefield, you should feel good. You've got something to build on. I don't know if they have anything to build on. See, I don't think they're going back to Mitchell Trubisky, but that doesn't mean that at some point fans won't wish they will.
Right. You got 3 things here. If you're Mitchell Trubisky, you're like this guy. My favorite meme ever, by the way, Bloom. If you like Matt Nagy, you're like this guy. Right. You're like, oh. And if you're like Bears fans, you're like, no. no. It's like Darth Vader at the end of Revenge of the Sith. The horrible no. Hey. Okay. Anakin, you're breaking my heart. Mitchell Trubisky, you've broken me. I'm not even a Bears fan. Either way, we're getting weird on this show, so let's wrap this thing up. It is a wrap for the Week 4 recap here on the Audible. Make sure you do all those YouTube things, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. And thank you, Sasha from Casually Comics, for giving me that close because it's awesome. Anyway, that's a wrap. He's Sigmund Bloom. Follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. The show is at The Audible. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned. And as always, you better stay frosty.